Hello, and a very warm welcome to all of you dialing in from across the globe. It is great to have you here in this info session today, and we're looking forward to spending the next 1 hour with you together. We have some very special guests here today. So we have Tom Kagera, Investment Director and co-lead of LGT Venture Philanthropy Foundation, who will give us an introduction about LGT VP and Lightrock. Then we have three special guests dialing in, also from very far away. We have Andrea Russo, who's an Alumni Fellow, currently based in Spain, from the cohort 215. Then there's Andrew Papp on the line. He's based in the States, a fellow of 2017. And our most recent alumni, Soumya Saxena, based in India, who will share their fellowship experience with you in a bit. And myself, I'm Miriam, Fellowship Manager at LGT Venture Philanthropy, and I will, of course, also share a lot of details about the program with you. And we will close the session with a Q&A section. And with this, I'm handing over to Tom.
Welcome everyone. It's a pleasure to be on the call today with you, and let me start with giving you a bit more background around LGT, who is hosting this fellowship program, before I later on explain you a bit more about LGT Venture Philanthropy and Lightrock. So what's interesting about LGT is that it's one of the largest 100% privately owned wealth and asset management financial institutions in the world. And that's so special because the princely family of Liechtenstein, who is the owner, takes a very long-term view with regards to all of their investments. And they do this both on the financial side with capital partners in LGT Bank, but they also do this through their impact investing and philanthropy activities. So on all their investments and their engagements, they really focus a lot on sustainability. As a family with 800 years of history, the passing on of values, both financial value, but also like the sustainability of this planet, is something that is really integral to the culture and the thinking of the princely family. So within that context, you will see on the next slide that the family founded in 2007 LGT Venture Philanthropy with an attempt to bundle their philanthropic engagements and become more succinct in the strategy and how these philanthropic dollars should create impact. And we started with a very broad mandate. So we worked in a lot of regions like South America, Sub-Saharan Africa, India, later also in Southeast Asia, in China, and later also in Europe. We've been active in most of the typical development sectors: education, healthcare, financial inclusion, agriculture. And we also got the flexibility from the family to use the philanthropic donations into the foundation, both as grants into non-profit organizations as well as debt or equity investments in for-profit social enterprises. So we really embarked on that journey to learn what's out there, what solutions can work at scale. Because ultimately, I think the one common denominator was that we were always looking for great teams, good management teams with solutions that can be scaled in order to address the huge social and environmental issues that we face on this planet. So we embarked on that journey, started to invest and grant into the first organizations in 2008. And also from the very beginning, it was clear to the family and to the founding members of LGT Venture Philanthropy that it's not only money that organizations need to succeed and to grow, but it's also access to human capital. Access to talent, I think, was from the very beginning an integral part of our investment support to our portfolio organizations. And as part of that human capital provision, we launched the fellowship program in 2009. And I was actually part of the first cohort. I am German citizen. As a German citizen, I have to work for a car company, worked 10 years for BMW, studied computer science before, and came to a point that maybe some of you are on the call today are right now, where you ask yourself, how can you use your professional skills and your work time, your career, to contribute to positive development in this world? So we launched the program in 2009, and since then really supported the portfolio organizations of LGT Venture Philanthropy with ongoing talent support. What we learned over the years, and you see here in 2016 on the slide that there's a second stream that opened up in addition to LGT Venture Philanthropy. I think while we conducted all the philanthropic grant making and equity investments out of the foundation at the beginning, we realized that as these approaches were growing up, that we have to make those two approaches more succinct, and this was basically the time when Lightrock was launched as a separate private equity impact investing initiative with a dedicated team, with this right setup in order to attract other co-funding from private as well as institutional funders. And that's why you see today two almost like sister companies, one deploying philanthropic funding of the Princely family through Venture Philanthropy Foundation, and Lightrock that is implementing more commercial impact investing capital in for-profit companies. On the next slide, here like a summary on the vision and mission that aligns to both entities. And I think the overall mission is really, was always and continues to be to improve the quality of life of disadvantaged people, but also was over time enhanced by to contribute to healthy ecosystems and a strong community angle, because we strongly believe that strengthening communities will ultimately help to achieve these developmental goals. And Lightrock and Venture Philanthropy are two different approaches towards the same vision. On the next slide, you see the current setup of the Venture Philanthropy team. So you see teams in India, you see teams in Africa, also in Southeast Asia, in Brazil and the UK. Brazil and the UK, it's currently Lightrock teams only, but in all other locations we have Lightrock and Venture Philanthropy team. Here on the slide you see the VP team. Going to the next slide, you see the overview of the venture philanthropy activities in the last 10 years. So we deployed roughly $100 million in over 60 organizations across the globe. So you see here the footprint of our activities. Right now in our portfolio, there are around like 21 active portfolio organizations, and we've deployed 42 million in these organizations. And with that portfolio, we reached in 2019 around 6 million people across the globe. So that's venture philanthropy. And on the next slide, you will see the the overview of the current Lightrock portfolio. So since 2016, we've invested quite a bit in companies in Africa, India, Europe, and South America. Lightrock has a broader thematic angle than venture philanthropy, also geographically more distributed. But ultimately, you see companies that fulfill a similar promise, that they have scalable solutions to address social environmental problems. Going forward, I would like to introduce you now to one of the latest LGT Venture Philanthropy portfolio organization called Arman. They work in healthcare in India, and we have a little video prepared for you to explain a bit more what one out of the many portfolio organizations that are currently looking for fellowship roles, what they do and how they operate.
India has one of the highest maternal and child mortality and morbidity rates of the world. In the next 1 hour, 4 women will die in childbirth somewhere in India. And since India accounts for almost 1/6 of the world's population, unless India's maternal and child health indices improve, the world is going to suffer in the future. Why does a mother or child die in India or any country in the world? There's a 3 delay model that can explain that. These loss of lives are completely preventable. And one day, it struck me. Mobile phone is ubiquitous in the country. Why couldn't I use the mobile phone to reach across to women with information when she needs it directly to her? And so I started Arman. Our first innovation was M-Mitra, that's Mobile Friend. It's a free voice call service to reach across to women with critical information. For example, the fact that the women need to take iron tablets daily, what nutrition to have, immunization, how to take care of the child after the child is born. M-Mitra scaled across 9 states of the country quickly. And the government noticed the success. And they approached us in 2019 for implementation of their Kilkari program. Kilkari is a government scaled-up voice call service similar to M-Mitra, and they were looking for a partner to extend healthcare throughout India. I believe health is a human right. My vision is no woman or child die for want of care.
So I hope this video gave you a little bit of inspiration. And what's important to note is that all organizations, both in the venture philanthropy and Lightrock portfolio, have the aim to scale their solution. So that's like an important characteristics of our shared portfolios. And these organizations use technology, as you could see, to drive innovation. They want to scale. They have great management teams in place, good governance in place. And that's why LGT Venture Philanthropy or Lightrock invests in these companies. So we have all our funding deployed in these organizations, which hopefully should give you good confidence that these are the best innovators in the world that we support and that you can actually work for. Without further ado, I hand over to Miriam again, and she can tell you more about the fellowship.
Thank you, Tom, for this wonderful introduction. And as the founder of Arman states so nicely in the video, she believes that health is a human right. And if you share similar beliefs, and if you were also that much inspired by this video as I am when I watch it, then you're very likely to have the right motivation for the LGT Impact Fellowship. And then you're definitely at the right spot today in this info session. So as Tom mentioned very quickly, the LGT Impact Fellowship program is a very important part of the strategic support that LGT VP and Lightrock provide to our portfolio. And in very short, what we do is that we connect high-profile, mid-level business professionals who have often gained their experience in the private sector and who have a strong motivation to generate positive impact with portfolio organizations and companies that are in need for exactly those kind of high caliber profiles. And during a 12-month fellowship program, during a 12-month placement, fellows work on the ground with the organizations and really bring in their business skills and can therefore really contribute to the organizations and generate a positive impact. To give you just a few key facts about the program, so far since inception we have placed 159 fellows across the globe. Our fellows have an average of 6 years of work experience, And around 30% of the fellows stay on with their host organization, meaning they either obtain a permanent role at the organization, or they stay on a consultant basis with the organization and keep contributing to them. And another very nice indicator for us that we're proud of is that 70% of the fellows remain in the impact space after their fellowship program, which is a nice indicator that all those talents who come in with the desire to use their skills in a more meaningful way from the private sector actually manage to make that career transition, as 70% stay in the space. So why is this program so successful for our portfolio organizations? Why does it add so much value? On the one hand, we have been running this program for more than 10 years, and we really have a good track record in recruiting great talents. And by now, the fellowship has a strong reputation in the market, and therefore we really managed to get those talents into the program and can provide high caliber talents to our portfolio organizations. Moreover, the business expertise that the fellows bring in is really helping organizations, is really strengthening the organizational backbone of those organizations, and sometimes also even adding additional capacity to the organizations. And fellows have really come in with concrete projects that they have to work on during those 12 months. Our portfolio organizations give us good feedback that fellows can really help them in, say, business development, in increasing reach to beneficiaries, in achieving great fundraising for them, in optimizing their processes. So there is really concrete output and concrete added value that fellows bring to the organizations. And moreover, they're of course an additional resource and an extra pair of hands that help organizations in executing their growth strategy. And finally, us, the fellowship team, is really trying to minimize the effort for portfolio organizations. We really try to help them as much as possible with the recruitment process and take responsibility of most of the recruiting steps, and therefore we can offer a very exclusive service to our portfolio. Let's see now what, and maybe here to add on, as you see also with the example of Mothers to Mothers here, many of the organizations that have benefited from a fellow, they keep recruiting fellows over the years. And so the example of Mothers to Mothers shows that we have already placed 8 fellows, and we're actually hiring for great talent also this year. So check out the exciting job description that we have online for Mothers to Mothers. So now I'd like to give you a bit more insights about what is really in for you as a fellow joining the program. I think the primary motivation of many fellows, and as I've been a fellow myself and had exactly the same motivation, most of the fellows want to do meaningful work and they want to use their skills in an impactful way. And this fellowship really gives an excellent opportunity to do that and work on the ground with our portfolio. Moreover, the portfolio organizations and companies of VP and Lightrock are financially backed by very important financial institutions, and therefore they undergo a very strict due diligence process. And therefore, if you're looking for an organization that is trustworthy, where you can spend 1 year and do a responsible job, then this is definitely a good place. So it's not a typical gap year, but you actually have a responsible role at those organizations with concrete projects to work on. It is also a fantastic opportunity to gain hands-on experience. Once more, as we mentioned, many fellows try to transition their career and shift career into the impact space, and this program really gives you the opportunity to build a track record. And you're also becoming part of the extended LGT family, of course. So you really get a good exposure to the impact space, to the social and environmental sectors. And of course, you're also part of a cohort of like-minded fellows that start at the same time with you. And it's also an important factor that those fellows, they really contribute to your network in the future. So in the future, that was the key word actually, as what happens after the fellowship program. So the figures speak for themselves, definitely. I've mentioned it already. Most of the fellows stay in the impact space, around 71%. 23% go into the private sector, and around 6% go to the public sector. But what's clear is that most of them really continue their positive work and continue generating positive impact. To give you a few very concrete examples, some of our alumni fellows have taken on very responsible roles in a wide spectrum of impact-driven organizations. For example, Shuyin, who is a partner at Patamar Capital, an early stage venture capital firm that invests in South and Southeast Asia. For example, Graham, who became a CFO at a renewable energy company, or Matt, who is a senior investment officer at USAID, and as well Amandeep, who is a director today at the Clinton Health Access Initiative. And I think those alumni fellows and those great examples are really evidence that that it's more than a gap year, and you're really building a career in this space. So let's have a look at some concrete skills and qualifications that we're looking for in the fellowship program. Definitely on the hard skills side, the minimum requirement is a bachelor's degree. However, 2/3 of our fellows have at least a MBA or a master's degree. The minimum work experience required is 2 years. So the average may be higher, but if you have very relevant background, then you're also most welcome to apply to the program if you have 2 years of work experience. On the soft skill side, beside having a strong motivation to really make a difference and commit to positive impact, and besides being a globally minded person, because of course you get placed to maybe a different country from where you're from, and you really need the cultural sensitivity to work in those environments. A very important skill that we're looking for is the flexibility to work in new environments, the openness to ambiguity. You really need to be able to deal with different situations and situations that are ambiguous at the end of the day. So that's very important when you're joining the fellowship program. To give you a bit of an idea what kind of backgrounds we're hiring. So it's we're less looking for thematic experts from, say, the health sector, the environment sector, but we're looking for people with organizational skills, with business backgrounds, so that they can really strengthen the organizations on an organizational level. So some examples would be finance, marketing, business consulting, product development. So those are the typical backgrounds that we're looking for. And to give you an overview of the timeline and the next steps, so we're currently recruiting for the 2021 intake. Application portal will be open until 4th of April. It's a yearly intake, so this is your only chance this year. We will be recruiting again next year in March. The portal will close in beginning of April, and then the screening round starts. There is really a lot of screening rounds that we're planning. There's a lot of stakeholders involved in this process to really make sure we can pick the best candidates. So the fellowship team will do a screening. Our investment managers of the portfolio organizations and companies are closely involved in this process, also screening the CVs, because they really know the organizations inside out, and they're the best suited to actually judge whether a candidate is a good fit for an organization or not. And then, of course, the organizations themselves will do the final interviews with the finalists, which will be around end of April, May, throughout May. You will then sign a contract directly with the portfolio organization or the company. You will also be compensated by that, by your host organization. And there will be a kick-off workshop hosted in probably July, before you start your assignments in July, August, September. Normally this workshop takes place in Switzerland. Unfortunately, given the current COVID situation, it's most likely happening online, but we will try our very best to make it a very entertaining and engaging workshop as well. And then once you started your engagement, as I quickly mentioned before, you will be, or the LGT team will be in touch with you throughout your entire fellowship year. Wonderful. So this was a bit of an overview about the fellowship program. Now let's get to the very exciting part. Let's hear our alumni fellows share their experience with you. And I will start with Andrea, who's the most senior alumni. Exactly, did her fellowship in 2015, and I'll hand over to you, and looking forward to hear about your experience, Andrea.
Hi, thank you so much, Miriam. I hope you can hear me correctly. Yeah?
Absolutely.
Perfect. So, well, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me today. I'm always for me, the LGT Fellowship was really like a life-changing experience. So I'm always excited and always looking forward to at least give some back of what you gave me and the great opportunity you gave me. So I have nothing prepared for today more than tell you a little bit what I was doing before the fellowship, and also everything that happened after that. So as Miriam mentioned, I was part of the 2015 cohort, if I'm correct. Before that, I had been working in business development for 5 years. I had been working mainly in Southeast Asia, in India. So after 3 years in India, I moved to Bangkok. And while I was working there, what I was mainly doing was helping companies to develop their new businesses in the Southeast Asian region. So as you can imagine, when I was there living in India, after 3 years, I felt like I was really disconnected. Like my job was really disconnected with the reality I was seeing, and I really thought that I needed to change that and to contribute to solve all the problems that I was seeing every day. So then I started to look before, as Miriam said before, like the skills I had was the typical skills she was mentioning, like business development, operations, and somehow I didn't feel like I didn't know if they could be transferable to the impact sector. So I was looking for opportunities to make that change. When I was there in India, I started collaborating with an organization that was providing electricity to rural areas in India. So that really for me was that opened my my eyes and showed me that there were organizations that they were working from the private sector to make the world a better place. So I said, yep, definitely that's what I want to do. So I started to think what I could how I could make that change and start working 100% of my time on that. That's really like a really frightening moment, because you have your life, you have your job, and you really need somebody to help you to make that move. So at that point of time, luckily I got to know the fellowship program, the LGT Fellowship program, and I applied. I have to admit that I applied 2 times. The first one I didn't get selected, but the second time, luckily I got that email. So if you have already applied, I definitely encourage you to apply again, because at the end it's not only about you, but also if there is a good match with the organizations. In my case, as I said, I had to wait for another year, but I got matched with BIBE, that is an organization that is still working in Colombia, although it's not part of the LGT portfolio anymore, but it's working in providing access to middle and low income communities in Colombia. So when I was selected to work there, I was first they contacted me because they were in this moment where they wanted to expand to new markets, and as I was working in business development, they thought I could help them. I could help them with that, and they were at that point they were looking to expand to new markets, and they were started working with the coffee farmers population. So I moved there to Colombia, and I although that and well when I moved there, as I said, that was the main goal. But then, as Miriam was mentioning before, like the goal changed a little bit because these organizations are really, really dynamic. So, as Miriam mentioned, you really need to adapt and to try to help them in the best way possible. So, in that case, in my situation, we realized that expanding geographically was not the best option at that point. So we moved to working closer with the coffee farmers organizations. We started a strategy around that, and actually it was very, very successful. And nowadays they are still working with these groups, and they are doing health projects with them, and they are really, really increasing the impact they are doing on those populations, which it's great, and it's, to me, it is definitely really, really, really touching. The fact that when you see that while you were working with them, you got an idea, and it helped them to really increase their impact, and then now they are also working towards the goal that you build together with the team. So for me, that was really beautiful. Also, the fact that my goal professionally when I joined Vive was also to move a little bit more into project development and project implementation, and my experience at Vive really helped me with that. The team actually, although I had knowledge on business development and operations, they had really good experience in project development. So they really taught me a lot on that. And I had the chance to work with the coffee farmers and to really work closely with that community that is in such need, that is so forgotten by the health system in Colombia. So till today, I can say that that the fellowship was one of the best experiences I had in my life, and it changed me really like a lot, not only professionally but also like personally. Like it really showed me like the reality. Although I had been living in India, which is I'm from Spain, so India also was like a cultural shock. But in Colombia, I really felt connected with the community, and I really learned about a different side of the world that was really had some population that was in it. So at this point, for me, please cut me if you or ask me questions if
Slightly.
you.
We're so curious to also hear the others, and we also got a few questions already coming in. So I'm just doing a little time management here.
Perfect. Please do it. If not, it's kind of hard to talk to a camera without
Exactly,
that.
I know. And but also we've done a spotlight interview with Andrea last year. So if you're curious to learn more about her experience, please feel free to read the interview also on our fellowship blog.
So if you want just to move, or if you want, I can just talk about what happened after the fellowship, just as you
I
prefer.
think we will move on to Andy now, if you don't mind.
That's great.
Lovely. Thank you, Andy.
You're welcome.
Over to you.
Hello. I'm from Washington, D.C. My name is Andrew Papp, or Andy, I go by. And a little bit of my background. I'm actually born and raised in the DC area, one of the few people that is actually from here. And prior to becoming familiar with LGT, I was working in social justice, and decided I was just going to go to grad school, and really wanted to kind of pursue something that was really socially focused and in the international development space. So went to get my MBA, and got to graduate at the height of the Great Recession, which is, always a fantastic time to get a degree and to search for a job. And at that time, really wanted to pursue the career that I was looking for. In that, um, really wanting to support those and work with people that are, all kind of the same mind, that are, very socially motivated, that are really entrepreneurial, and with a sharp business acumen. And so subsequent to graduation, I went into management consulting, which obviously speaks to all of those attributes. And looked at it as really kind of time for me to just build out a skill set that would be, useful and highly transferable, but all the while kind of, keeping my eye open for opportunities to kind of move into the social and the impact space. And I believe through my graduate school, was pointed in the direction of LGT. The program looked fantastic, applied, and was placed at a company called Varthana. And for those of you who aren't familiar with it, Varthana is based out of Bangalore in India, and it focuses on financial inclusion and education transformation. Specifically, the bread and butter of the company is that they provide funding to schools in the affordable private school sector, which accounts for about 50% of India's K through 12, or K through 10 and 12 schools. And when at Varthana, or getting to Varthana, I guess, I brought my entire family. So for those of you that have families, it's definitely something to keep in mind. I mean, I brought my partner and our two French bulldogs all the way across the planet, and settled into Bangalore. And the focus of Varthana and of the fellowship for me was to apply the management consulting skills that I had developed over time to test out their advisory services department. They really wanted to diversify how they were working with and impacting and connecting with their clients and with their schools. And they believed that creating advisory services products and services, that they would be able to have that extra kind of level of support to really expertise of management within the affordable private school sector. So I spent a year there, and the fellowship had a fantastic time. Worked hand in hand with the head of the department that was testing out advisory services, with the CEO and COO, and basically just across all the different divisions within Varthana. At the conclusion of my fellowship, was offered the opportunity to stay on and officially launch the advisory services division, build out its products, hire a team, really just kind of a soup to nuts building out of this division. And I spent about a year and a half doing so, for a total of 2.5 years at Varthana. During that time, brought on 2 LGT Fellows, one of them being Samya, who you'll hear from in a bit. And at the conclusion of my time in India, we probably would have stayed, but my partner's company actually kind of requested us to return back to DC. And since returning, we got back the summer before COVID hit, and spend some time catching up with family and taking care of their health and family during COVID times, and have worked for, in the meantime, initially a company that was focused on using the franchise model to develop businesses in the Eastern Africa and in Latin America, and then subsequent to that, and where I currently am, is working for an impact investing company and helping them build out their fund to focus in South Asia and fund companies that are youth focused and tech driven. And that's I guess my background and career to now.
Thank you so much, Andy, for sharing those insights. And let's move on to Soumya. Soumya, unfortunately, we're getting a lot of questions, and we're running a bit out of time. So if you could keep it very short. And good thing is that you also worked at Vartana, so we got a little intro from Andy already, so we can skip that part. But maybe if you would like to share maybe one great tip that you would give to people interested in applying for the fellowship program who are on the call now.
Right. I mean, thank you, Miriam. Well, firstly, it's a pleasure to be here and to be among the likes of Andy, who I once used to report to. So yeah, great background about Vartana and what we do. I think the tip that I would give to fellows who are applying or who want to be fellows this year is just be very true to what you're putting down in your essays. Your experience matters, and whatever you have done, even if you do not have a lot of work in social space, it's about what transferable skills you bring into the sector and how can you help the portfolio organization. So just be very open to ambiguity, open to operate under uncertainty, because these are very dynamic organizations, as Andrea and Andy pointed out. So yeah, I think that yeah, Miriam, was that quick?
That was super quick. Thank you so much. And do you want to quickly say what you're venturing into?
Right. So I think at this point in time, we've been doing a lot of work at Vartana with the pandemic and everything, with schools closed. So we've been working very closely with schools and helping them open up. And I think that's something that I've been leading here. In the future, I'm looking at getting a business degree, which is something that I've been thinking about for a long time. And LGT has been super supportive in helping me with recommendations and helping me with ideas on where to go and what to do. So it's been super interesting.
Thank you so much, Soumya. And also Soumya has been, he's been a very engaged fellow. So we also did a testimonial interview with him last year. And so if you want to read more, and also, by the way, it just comes to my mind, a very nice article written by Soumya himself during his fellowship. So please have a look at the blog if you want to learn more. Fantastic. Thanks a lot to all of you. Let's start with the first question. Have you had fellows in the past who moved from a role as corporate lawyer into the fellowship? I would need to hand that question to Tom, because you know all the fellows that have gone through the program since inception.
There was actually a UBS fellow colleague of yours, because Miriam also worked at UBS before. So he actually was a corporate lawyer, and he worked for Mothers to Mothers. So with Mothers to Mothers expanding into many Southern African countries or Sub-Saharan African countries, health compliance was a huge challenge for them, and to structure their legal processes and helping to analyze the situations when they expand in new countries was actually something that he did, yes. And so, long answer, yes.
Fantastic, thank you. Is there any age or country limit to becoming an LGT Impact Fellow? Absolutely not. And we have a wide variety of, or we're hiring fellows. We have lots of fellows with in different age groups. We have fellows that have really just the bare 2 years of work experience, and we've had very senior fellows in our cohort, actually Soumya and my cohort, who are close to retirement or have even retired and just want to invest their time to the fellowship program. And the same for the countries. It's a very diverse pool of candidates that we have.
I think for the country, maybe one addition, make sure that applying for roles or for countries where your citizenship is not on a blacklist helps. So I know, for example, that Pakistan and India don't have the best relationship, as many of you know. So getting a work visa for someone from Pakistan for India has proven to be impossible. So these things obviously matter, but from our side, there's definitely absolutely no bias against anyone or any country.
Is there a general application for the LGT Impact Fellowship alongside a specific application for a role as at a portfolio organization? Yes, indeed. I mean, yes and no. We have both. You can either apply for the general fellowship or you can apply for a special role, for a specific role. All the roles, we have 38 roles this year, are posted on our talent portal. And we recommend applying to a specific role that best suits your background. And we will look into the pool of candidates to the general fellowship in case we get any ad hoc requests from portfolio organizations. Beyond the fellowship program, does LGTVP provide additional support to their portfolio ventures? Big question. I think that links to your introduction in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, we are very supportive in helping fellows to get into the next role. This can be, so what we do always is at the end of the year, end of the fellowship cohort, we send out profiles. It's a little like, almost like, from business schools, like a CV book where people can profile themselves, and we distribute that to our networks. We also, if you're keen to work with an organization that we know, we're obviously happy to make introductions or to recommend fellows. So these are some of the examples that I can tell you that are examples and testaments for how we support fellows to get into the next thing after the fellowship.
Are there any projects in the Middle East Arab region? Unfortunately not. The fellowship roles this year are in Brazil, India, and various African countries, including Kenya, South Africa, Liberia, Malawi, Uganda, Ethiopia.
Yeah, Middle East has not been a regional focus so far of our activities.
What stage of growth are the ventures that are part of the program?
I think they are on both sides, both on the venture philanthropy as well as on the Lightrock side, pretty mature organizations. So it's definitely an organization with business, with proven models. Many of them are in scale up, scale out phase. So more like in the growth stage, sometimes even like late growth stage. But it's definitely not idea or early stage organizations.
We have a participant with around 10 years of work experience and would like to understand whether the pay scale drops drastically post the fellowship when you are being placed in a social impact company full time.
I think that's too general to answer, I must say, because I mean, if you look at Lightrock's organizations, I mean, these are robust companies. So if I take General Waters in Sao Paulo in Brazil, working on wastewater recycling, I don't know their salary structures, but this is a successful company. So I don't think that there is, and also it like depends on what you earn right now. but I wouldn't say that it's something that is it's a given that you will earn a lot less in the social sector than what you're doing right now.
Does the LGT Impact Fellowship restrict me from advice and or participate in other ventures part-time? The fellowship program is a full-time engagement, so you will be working 100% for 1 year with the portfolio organizations. If you have any hobbies on the side that you do in the evenings or on weekends, that is of course your personal life, but generally the fellowship requires a 100% commitment.
There shouldn't be any conflict of interest. So if you work, advise the main competitor, that might be a problem. But probably just stating the obvious.
My work experience is in the architecture field, urban planning, and I do a master in global affairs. Am I eligible, given the heavy focus on the program, into business graduates?
Then in India, there so smart cities and transportation innovation around like transportation is a topic. It's definitely like a niche, and I don't know if any of the open positions on the Lightrock side ask for that. It's more a niche background, but it can't rule out today that it's not suitable. So I would say look at the positions and submit your if you don't find anything suitable to your background, submit general application, and then we can pass that on to those companies that might be suitable or interested in your background.
Does an applicant who is not from the private sector but from the development have a chance to break into the LGT impact investment world?
Break in. No closed doors. I think a lot of people are interested in moving from traditional investing, like venture capital, private equity investing, into impact investing. So I think there's quite a high competition if you really think about the pure investment management roles in for-profit impact investing. However, impact measurement, for example, ESG, the ESG management are areas where I think people coming from a development sector background might have like the required skill sets, and hence, not to rule out. When I applied, I had computer science project management background at BMW, so I wasn't the poster child applicant for a development sector role.
What percentage of applicants get selected each year? If I look at last year, it was less than 10%. Probably even, quite 5%, almost 5%. But it depends also on how many applications we get this year, but that was the case last year, at least. Nowadays, with COVID situation, are some fellowships which can be developed remotely? Yes, indeed. I recommend you look into the JDs that have been posted, and there are specifications. There are specifications whether the job can be done remotely or whether you're required to travel to the host organization. We have quite a few fellows who are currently working remotely because they were not able to travel to their host country. The country where the host organization is based, and so yes, indeed, they have started working remotely. Okay.
Thanks for all the good questions, by the way.
Yes, exactly, and also thanks for the thanks messages. If I have a family, do the fellowships consider the candidate move with his family to the country where the fellowship would be settled? So generally, the fellowship package includes that the host organization is taking care of your travel arrangements to the host country, however not your family, so you would need to arrange that privately. My work experience is in financial management, investment banking. Are there opportunities for my profile? Absolutely. Please check out the job descriptions. Definitely we have roles that require financial modeling skills. We have roles in as investment associates also at Lightrock in Nairobi. So there's quite a few roles actually. Who is an ideal candidate for the fellowship? Well, look at those 3 wonderful alumni that we have invited today. They were all ideal candidates, and they have all left what do you say? Excuse me. They have all strongly contributed, and we're still reaching out to them. So definitely, they have been very successful. So the ideal candidate has a solid track record in a business function, brings solid work experience from the private sector, and has a very strong motivation to generate positive impact and to transfer his or her skills. And on the social skills side, as I mentioned before, and I think our fellows here have confirmed that, is the openness to deal with ambiguous situations definitely is an important one. Would you add anything?
I could add a lot, but I think just to not discourage people not coming from the private sector, I think it's more like the private sector skill sets, or typically like good management skill sets that we in general refer as private sector skills, which is a very strong generalization, and we work with a lot of non-profit organizations that work on the highest level of professionalism. So it's not to discourage people that come from the development sector to apply, but you should have ideally worked in an environment where you were able to demonstrate that you work on that kind of professional level.
And you will, of course, receive an email after this session with the link to the talent portal. Thank you for that question. And that leads us pretty much to the end. Spot on, 5 o'clock in Switzerland. 60 minutes are over. Thank you for that last question, which was a great closing also. So yes, you will receive a follow-up email. And also we're hosting a fantastic event on Monday, a fellowship fair. It's the first time we're organizing this kind of event. We have invited many portfolio organizations that are offering fellowship roles, so you will be able to meet them, ask all your questions, learn more about the roles they offer. So I think it's going to be a very cool event. Please, if you haven't registered, do so. I will also, we will also send you the link in that follow-up email. Thank you so much, everybody, for dialing in. Thank you to the alumni for joining. It was great having you and seeing you again, and looking forward to your applications.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Good rest of the day. Bye-bye.